Hey guys, Colleen here, DIYer behind LemonThistle.com, and today I'm excited to be back with another Silhouette vs. Cricut challenge video. For these videos, I'm partnering up with my friend Alexis from Perjaloo, and we'll be taking on different functions and features and materials that the Cricut and Silhouette can do, and we'll be showing you how they work compared to one another, so you can decide for yourself which one is the best fit for you. I am Team Cricut, so I will be using my Cricut Maker for all of these projects, and I'll be testing out Cricut Design Space SnapMat option. Silhouette has something similar, I think it's called PixScan, but you can just watch Alexis's video and find out about that. So SnapMat is a feature that Cricut Design Space app on mobile, like an iPad or a phone, where you can take a photo of your mat and then you can cut exactly where you want to on your mat. This is cool for a few reasons. The first is that you can use smaller or obscure shapes of materials. So I really like to use this feature when I'm using up a bunch of scraps or doing a bunch of cuts on the same material but in different colors, because you can take a picture of your mat with all your different scraps on here, and then in Design Space you can drag your designs and place them on those different scraps, and it will all cut out in one cut. So that saves you a lot of loading the machine and lining it up and everything else. And you can use up your iron-on scraps to make cute things like this little free hugs pennant, or you can add pocket designs to your kids' plain t-shirts that they won't wear because they're too boring. Not that my kids do that. I've also used this when I've had things like a pennant banner that was already pre-cut and I wanted to cut a shape out of one of those little triangles. Then you can put the triangle on here, drag your shape on top of it, cut it out, easy peasy. But one of the other things that I have been asked that I've been wanting to try out, and this video was the perfect time to do that, is cutting out shapes that are on surfaces already. So the one question that I got asked in one of these Cricut for Silhouette videos was, how do I cut out like the tiger on the cereal box? And I thought that this was the best way to do it, and so I gave it a shot, and it does work. It does take a little bit of playing, but I drew these designs on paper, and then I took a picture, uploaded it, then cut it out using SnapMat, and it worked pretty well. It did take a little bit of experimenting, so I'm going to walk you through all the different things that I tried and how you can get your best cut using SnapMat. Alright, before we get started, if you have not yet subscribed to my channel, I would so love if you did that below so you don't miss out on any more DIY or home decor videos. Let's do it! Alright, so the first project that I'm going to do is the one that I do the most often using SnapMat, and that is to use it to use up scraps of vinyl or materials. So for this, I've just drawn this free hugs design and I've uploaded it as my own image. Again, we have a video about how to upload and use your own images with Cricut and Silhouette. That's in the playlist. I can link it below. And then I also used this rocket ship design, which is just from the Cricut Access gallery. So I've uploaded these and sized them according to how big I want them, and I'm going to be using vinyl scraps to cut these out. Now, the important thing about using scraps all on one mat is that they're the same material, because you can only choose one cut setting per cut. You wouldn't want to throw like a glitter vinyl on with a brushed metal vinyl along with a lightweight iron-on light. It wouldn't cut each of them according to their individual settings. You also want to make sure that even though the vinyl you're cutting out is different colors, you only make your designs one color so that they automatically go all on one mat. So once you have sized your designs, go ahead and hit Make It and choose the SnapMat option in the bottom corner of your mat preview. This will allow you to take a photo of your mat loaded up with your materials. Once you have got a good photo, and just make sure that the lines around the edges are really even so that you don't have it offset, then you can go and you can move around the designs. The only downside to this, I think, is that you can't resize them here. So if it was a tiny bit too big, you have to start over, go back to your mat, resize that one little image, and then come back and take a picture of your mat all over again. Alright, so that is how I cut using scraps. I think it works super well. It is really simple. I have never had any issues doing this. So once these were cut and weeded, I went ahead and ironed them onto my tiny pennant and onto the pocket of the t-shirt here, just using my Cricut Easy Press. So I wanted to get a little bit more complicated and try out a couple different things. In this video, I not only show how to cut out of scraps, I'm also showing how to write on pre-cut materials using your Cricut, and I want to show you how to take something pre-drawn or an image and cut that out as well. So the next thing I tried was a photo, and this is where I started having to troubleshoot. Alright, so I was asked about cutting out an image off of a cereal box or off of another design, and was this possible? And my answer was yes, I think it's possible. Here's how to do it. So I wanted to give that a try, and I wanted to demonstrate how you could do it, and it did take me a little bit of playing. Alright, so of course the most simple way to do this is just to cut out a simple shape. So for example, I cut out a circle. I just did this by inserting an image of the circle onto the mat and then dragged it over the photo using SnapMat. So this is an easy way to cut out a photo. This is perfect for scrapbooking. But if you want to cut out a silhouette of your photo, that's where it gets a little bit tricky. So that's what I'm going to work on for most of this video. So in my first attempt here, I took a photo of my photo just on my mat by going upload image, take photo. And so I did that here, and then I was trying to erase the background with the magic wand, which didn't work great on a photo. If you had a cartoon image where it was really definitely different colors, I think that this would work really well. But since mine was a photograph, I chose to just go to the eraser and erase around the outside of our silhouettes. Now, I decided to erase really close to the silhouettes because I wanted it to be perfect and really precise. This was a mistake because SnapMat relies on your photographing the mat to be completely level and even and not skewed at all. I don't think it can be completely perfect. So I'm going to fast forward through this. After you have erased all of the lines and you say, yes, make this into my image, save it as a cut-only file and insert it onto your mat, and go print, go to SnapMat, you can see by moving it around that, oh my gosh, you can't quite see what's underneath this shape that you're cutting out. And that's where it gets a little bit tricky. I did have some issues with this. You can see because it was so tight and it cut just the tiniest little bit off, it cut off my nose, but it gave Aubrey lots of hair. So I tried it again with some hand lettering that I'd done. This time I used the magic erase, and then to make the design bigger than my lettering so that it would hopefully cut out it all, I used the smooth tool and I smoothed it until it was much larger than my design. I hit cut and oh my gosh, it was offset again. I was frustrated. I looked online, couldn't find any solutions, so I called Cricut support. And they suggested that I reset my machine. You do new machine setup from the desktop version of Cricut Design Space if you're having issues with it cutting off like this. One thing that I wish that they had is a calibrate your SnapMat setting, but they don't. They have calibrate knife blade, they have calibrate print then cut, calibrate these things, but not the SnapMat option. So that would be something that I would love to see from Cricut, just to help with troubleshooting SnapMat issues. So once I reset my machine to factory settings, installed it as a new machine, I drew another design and wanted to test it out again. I drew something with a simple outline to try and make it easier to cut out. So again, I took a photo of my design, used the magic erase, and then smoothed the heck out of it to give it a nice smooth line. And you can see when you tap smooth, it works like you're in Adobe Illustrator where you take out points in your edge. So you see it goes from a really rough edge here, and as you smooth it out, it gets a little bit bigger, it smooths over those bumps so that you can have a nice smooth cut as opposed to a really jagged cut. Then go ahead and insert it onto your canvas, size it to the design, and I do this by using a measuring tape and actually measuring what my design is on the paper, and then hit Make It, SnapMat, take a photo of your mat, and drag that baby right over top of your design. load it up and hit go. With this one, I had way better success, but it was still a tiny bit off. And so this is what I'm saying, and that I don't think that it can be totally perfect because it is based on you humanly taking a photo of your mat and trying to be level and flat and not skewed. And then it's also based on you as a human taking a picture of the design, and then you as a human erasing exactly where you want to, and then you as a human dragging that design that you can't see through over top of your picture. So in that, I don't think that it can be totally perfect. All right, since I had success with the bloom design, I thought that I would try with another photo. I grabbed some of my son's extra school photos here, and I thought that I would trace a larger silhouette just using the brush eraser. So I just traced out his shape roughly with my Apple pencil here. And it's not perfect. It's not totally symmetrical, but it should cut out the shape that I want. This would be totally fun if you were cutting out a bunch of people for little finger puppets. It would help it to go really quick. But in this case, I just wanted to see if it would work. So again, you just erase it when you're uploading your image, save it as a cut-only file, insert it onto your mat, size it the way that you want it, hit Make It, SnapMat, take a photo of your mat, then zoom right in and place it where you want to. Cut it out, and it worked perfectly this time. And you can see my erasing skills are not totally level. But how cute is that? I would love to get photos of all the kids standing next to each other in one photo and do little puppets for them for in the van for on road trips. Wouldn't that be fun? All right, so after all those attempts, I had an idea. I thought if one of the most challenging parts is figuring out exactly where to drag and drop that silhouette because you can't see behind the black shape, why don't we cut out the shape itself? So this is what I came up with, and if I were to do this again, this is what I would probably choose. Now, there are a couple limitations on this. You do not want to do this if you are going to be printing out your design at all. But if you are just trying to cut out a photo, this is the best way to do it. So after you take a photo of your photo or design or whatever you're cutting out, then go ahead and use the erase tool and erase the part that you want cut out. And you can leave the rest so that it would be completely black and it would cut around the edge of the photo. I went ahead and I just thinned it down so that I didn't have the blade running on my mat because that does damage your mat over time. And then I was able to see as I dragged it and resized it and moved it around exactly where it was going to cut on my photo. So this was by far the best solution that I found. A couple things to keep in mind. Again, this is all up to human error, and even though I had dragged it exactly where I wanted it, it did cut a little bit offset to this. I don't think that this is Cricut's fault. I think that it cut exactly where I told it to, but I do think that my photo could have been better. That said, SnapMat didn't correct for my photo being off a little bit. So just keep that in mind as you're cutting. You don't want to do anything that's going to be super tight to the shape that you're going to be upset if it cuts off little bits and pieces. So this is what I mean by the mat not being totally level. You can see on one edge we have a sliver of the surface behind the mat showing, and on the other edge you can see that like a sliver the mat was cut off. So it is going to be a little bit offset to what yours cuts. The other thing that I did want to point out is that unlike print then cut, the Cricut does not look for your materials on the mat. It just cuts where you tell it to cut according to your dragging and dropping them. So in Print Then Cut, it prints a bounding box to show the machine exactly where to cut. In SnapMat, it's just relying on you placing it where you want it. So the very last thing that I wanted to try is just writing on different surfaces. This is great if you have a little flat wooden pennant like this, or if you have a heart-shaped sticker like I've made here that you want to put on a gift and you want to have it written on or drawn on. So I just put in the fine tip black marker and I drew on those. I just made these designs using Cricut Access Designs, so they're in there for anybody to use. And that worked perfectly as well. All in all, I can see that this is a really basic tool. It is simple to use if you want to do simple things with it. If you want to get complicated and precise, it may not be the best tool for you, But overall, for what I use it for, I'm super impressed. I would use it for drawing on surfaces like this again. I would also use it for cutting up my scraps because that is my favorite thing to do with it. Could there be improvements? Definitely, but for now I think Cricut's done a pretty good job with it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe so you don't miss out on any more DIY or home decor videos. Make sure you hop over and check out Alexis's video where she is going over PixScan, which is the silhouette version of the Cricut SnapMat. If you want more Cricut for Silhouette, we have a whole playlist of that. In our playlist, we have a lot of these videos now. We have things like how to upload and cut any of your own designs in Cricut Design Space and Silhouette. We have how to use iron-on vinyl on wood, how to use printable vinyl, and we're working on some new ones. If you have a topic that you want covered in one of these videos, please make sure to drop it in the comments below so that we can see that and we can add it to our filming list. All right, we'll see you guys next time.